Great. So we're gonna jump right in. Does anybody have any announcements that they'd like to share with the group before we start with Michelle's presentation? All righty, great. Thank you so much, Michelle. Please take it away.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Do y'all see it?
Yep.
You should, right? Okay. Here we go. So just by introduction, my name is Michelle Butler. I am the Senior Engagement Manager with the Weatherization Assistance Program out of the Colorado Energy Office. And I'm here today to share a little bit about our program and what we do and who we serve. If there's enough time, so please do track me on time if that's, I do tend to go a little long sometimes. But if there is some time, I'd love to make some comments about our workforce development efforts as well. And also any questions you have, it would be great if you just added them in the chat or waited till I was done with the presentation, just because I can't really see everything that's going on. But anyways, okay, so just a little bit of an overview. Like I said, the Weatherization Assistance Program is one of 5 divisions in the Colorado Energy Office. These are the other divisions that are supported by the work of my colleagues. And yeah, so lots going on in the Energy Office. It's a really exciting time to be here, and you know, an overwhelming time to be here as well. But Weatherization is a particularly extraordinary program. This program is almost 50 years old, and if you want to look at it in terms of, you know, the success of federal programs, the Weatherization Assistance Program is one of the most successful federal programs. There is very little that is controversial about this program. So we have I think, a very healthy future to look forward to as well. But essentially in Colorado, our mission is really, number one, to save people money, right? We never want to do anything that's going to increase energy bills. Everything we do is intended to decrease those energy bills, but also increase comfort, health, and safety, and just overall kind of improve people's homes and environment. And this is all done through our proven energy conservation solutions. And I'll talk a little bit about what some of those solutions or measures are. Who do we serve? Well, we serve Colorado residents. We serve people who own their homes, folks who are renting their homes, folks who live in single-family sided homes, in manufactured housing, and multifamily buildings. You know, pretty much the only requirement to be eligible for our program is like live in a home and meet the income qualifications, right? We don't serve folks who live in like RVs, right? Folks whose homes actually move around. But yeah, so that's pretty much, we pretty much can serve anyone who meets our qualifications. And I do have this other, you know, sort of notice here is as of July 1, 2022, we are not requiring evidence of lawful presence to access our services, right? And this is the result of SB 21-199, which removes barriers to state-funded services. So just so you know, folks who may be hesitant to apply for these services because of documentation reasons, please encourage them to do so. These are our income limits. So our income limits vary depending on where you live and who your utility provider is. I'm happy to share a PDF of this presentation, so you might be able to kind of get into these a little bit more if you want. But essentially everything funded, every job funded with our federal dollars, we have to abide by a 60% state median income limit. And then in areas and territories that are served by an investor-owned utility, such as Excel, Black Hills, Atmos, etc., we can go up to 80% area median income to be able to serve those folks as well. So basically, how does our program work, right? Well, our program begins really with an application and approval, and I'll tell you a little bit about the application at the end. But then once you're approved and you get on the, you know, sort of um, kind of work order for the particular agency that will be serving you, you will get your job will begin with an energy audit. Once the energy audit will determine which upgrades will be installed in your home. And then once those upgrades are installed, a professional quality assurance inspection will be conducted. And then you might even be your home might even be evaluated for other kind of improvements, especially around beneficial electrification. And I'll talk a little bit about that in just a moment. But the energy audit is the very first step. It uses specialized evaluation tools like a blower door test. That's what the gentleman is doing down here. I don't know if you can see my arrow here, but this is what he's doing here. It's a blower door test using thermal imaging cameras, etc., to really kind of evaluate how well a home is performing in terms of energy efficiency and how much energy is being lost due to leaks, due to poor performing appliances, and insulation levels and so forth. So the energy audit is going to be able to evaluate all of these things. An energy audit typically takes several hours to perform, so it's very, very thorough. Once the energy audit is conducted, like I said, that will determine which kinds of improvements or upgrades a home needs to make it the most energy efficient. And some really common improvements include air and duct sealing, insulation, heating system repairs and replacements, changing out light bulbs for LEDs, etc. One of the biggest questions we get with this program is, people really want new windows, but windows don't tend to show up on that cost-effective list as often as you would think after the energy audit. Windows are extremely expensive and the return is not as high as you think it would be. So windows are a rare occurrence in our program. They're not out of the question, but they're just not very common measure. Like I said, once all of those upgrades have been installed, a quality control inspector will come out and make sure that the work was done well, right? Make sure that we're not leaving anything undone, right? And that, the idea is also, we want to perform good work, aesthetically pleasing work too for people's homes. So that's all evaluated in that final phase with the quality inspection. And then, of course, that is our traditional weatherization program. Over the last few years, we've been able to integrate some other upgrades and improvements to this program, including beneficial electrification improvements. And by that, I mean really kind of thinking about the energy transition in the state of Colorado and making sure that we are supporting our low-income residents in that transition as well. And so right now, our program will evaluate homes for replacing propane heated homes with heat pumps, right? And heat pump water heaters, induction ranges, and so forth. That's something that we do evaluate homes that are using propane or electric already to heat their homes. Right now, propane and electric are our most expensive heating sources. Natural gas, because it is still quite cheap, it doesn't come out particularly cost effective to electrify a natural gas home, but that doesn't mean we won't consider those homes. There are certain circumstances in which, replacing, natural gas furnace with a heat pump makes sense, but that just depends on the home. But we are doing this right now. And again, this is really just trying to think about, helping our low-income residents get prepared for this energy transition. We also pair any beneficial electrification, especially full home electrification, with solar options, right? So our program does do rooftop solar for qualified homes. Now, to qualify for rooftop solar, you have to qualify first for the Weatherization Assistance Program. You have to own your own home. Renters will not qualify for a rooftop solar system, and your home has to meet the basic qualifications for a rooftop system, right? Like, so the right orientation, that you don't have trees shading everything everywhere, or, that your roof is in good condition and so forth. But if your home doesn't qualify for rooftop solar, but it's a good candidate for beneficial electrification, we'll also explore community solar subscription options for homes. But this is a part of the program that's only a few years. We've been doing a few years. We're still kind of figuring it out. So it's not something that we're doing on every home. But we're looking at those options going forward. All right, so why does our program matter? Well, we serve quite a few Colorado residents. These are kind of a little bit outdated numbers, but over the last 2 years, we've served over 5,000 residents with a median annual income of under $19,000 a year. So we're really proud of the work that we do in Colorado. We want to be able to do more. I think everybody's probably heard it over and over again, but workforce is one of those big issues that's kind of a barrier for us to for expanding our services, especially into those harder to reach rural areas. But we're working on it. The way the program works is we work through 6 verified service providers in the state. Right now, we're at 6 verified service providers. These are our service providers. They, a client living in their territory. So the state of Colorado, I don't recall. Oh yeah, I do have a map up here. So all of these different Colorado areas are different territory for one of those service providers. You can find that map on our website. But this is how we've divided up the state of Colorado. There are more than 6 colored areas, and that's because Energy Resource Center pretty much serves the entire northeastern part of Colorado through several different offices. So a client would either apply for services, and that application goes to their local service provider, and that is who they deal with primarily. Feel free to ask questions about that if you have them. We have recently been fortunate to get a sizable chunk of money to grant out to our service providers so that they can do local workforce development in their own territories, so that they can, kind of tailor their unique needs and their community's unique needs. Instead of it being sort of administered from the state. We're really proud of this. We're already seeing some good results. This has been less than a year that this funding has been available, because workforce development and the workforce in general is a really big issue for us. We're trying to do everything that we can to make this program accessible to all of Colorado's residences. We've even launched a new online application, which you're seeing a very blurry image of the portal here. But all of our agencies do have wait lists, and we want to make sure we are doing what we can to reduce those wait lists so that more Coloradans can benefit from these services, right? So in 2021, the WAC program, we did a sort of stakeholder survey to kind of find out what people valued from this program after their homes had been upgraded through this program. And so, 90% of the respondents said that they've most valued the reduced energy bills, then that their homes were much more comfortable, and that they are supporting environmental efforts and so forth. But again, in order to be able to do that, we need to build our workforce. So for those of you kind of listening, or those of you who are like out in your communities, I'd be happy to share with you information about joining our network and what it's like. We would even happy to be, organize, a presentation or come out and see the folks that you're working with. But we have a really great kind of network. We work with really great people. The program provides paid training. There's job security. There's a clear, upward mobility in this career. And ultimately, you're really serving your community, right? You're serving your neighbors, you're the folks who, kind of, are around you. And so it's pretty, the people who are out in the field really value that aspect of the work. These numbers are a little bit off. I was just reviewing this morning, and these are from last year. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of your typical ladder for working in this program, starting out as a tech and moving up. And then beyond that, it moves into sort of program management and more administrative stuff, which a number of the, weatherization technicians who've started out in the program have taken that route. In fact, we have our current Department of Energy program officer who sort of runs the weatherization program. He started out as weatherization tech, right? And so now he's moved all the way up and has this really amazing sort of perspective of what it's like to do this work. And I can't tell you how valuable it is to have our DOE program being managed by someone like that. Again, just some information about the career path. There's a lot of job security in weatherization and energy efficiency in general. If you think about the energy transition, not just in the state of Colorado, but nationally and globally, these jobs are only going to become more and more in demand and more competitive. So, there's definitely opportunities here. So, and we also do a lot of fun things in the state of Colorado. We do a lot of conferences, a lot of team building experiences. We really try to make sure that everybody feels valued and supported in this program. So I will leave it here. If you have any questions, I think I'm under 20 minutes. Awesome.
Yeah, you got a few minutes to spare. Thank you so much, Michelle. That was a very
Sure.
insightful, enlightening presentation. Does anyone else have any questions or anything they wanted clarification on? Well, while we wait to see, I appreciate you collaborating, right? In the spirit of linkages, we're always trying to really do a better job with the CSBG program of reaching out, understanding how our program really does interact with some of these other programs, right? We're serving a lot of the same people at the end of the day. So I think it's important that we know that, and we know how we can collaborate and how we can ultimately, serve our clients the best that we can. So thank you so much for stopping by to share some of that information with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And at any time, I can put my email in the chat here. I'm always happy to, let's see here, one sec. Always happy to answer questions, provide materials, organize, talks or presentations.
That's great.
I can't type and talk at the same time though, sorry.
Hey, not bad, no typos. Love it. Thanks, Michelle. And we are also sharing your information with the materials that we send out after the meeting as well. So
awesome, great.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a good day.
Thanks, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And I will pass it on over to Josiah to take the next portion. Thanks, Josiah.
Thank you, Alex. Good afternoon, everyone. So great to get everyone together. Real quick updates. Real quickly, I also just wanted to put in a plug for the weatherization quarterly roundtables that the weatherization has been hosting. They're wonderful as well. So if you get a chance to attend one, please do. We have some agenda items we're going to go through really quickly. As always, please follow up with CCA staff if we can assist with anything. The first thing we want to just real quickly kind of circle back through is the requirement in the organizational standards that a nationally certified Roma trainer is involved in your needs assessment and other planning processes. I think the vast majority of you had a review completed, and you're going to be able to meet this. So when you do the org standards sometime between now and November 15th, you'll be able to provide that documentation that happened. If you haven't had a chance to go through that, please reach out to one of us in the state, myself, Alex, or Liz Espinoza with the CCAA. We are getting ready to go through a very important process that is a part of that annual National Roma Trainer involvement in your planning and in your evaluation, where we go out and we project out what we're going to do next program year starting January 1st. of 2024, running through December 31st of 2024. This is a best practice in Roma, the Roma cycle, to take a moment to project what your activities are going to be and ultimately what your outcome and what your outcome rates are going to be. So we will start planning this. This is, of course, going to be year one of your new 3-year community action plan that you'll be working under, that you all just submitted materials in the application for. We'll schedule meetings to meet and talk about any updates you have around activities that you're planning to implement on January 1st or thereafter, as well as making sure that we have strong projections, because those feed into your targeting success measures that you will use in your annual report. We will start talking about the annual report that'll be due in mid-February, shortly after the new year, right around there. So again, this is a very important process, not only in the Roma cycle, but in the annual report, to be able to establish what those target numbers are. Couple of resources that you'll receive here are some of those spreadsheets that we use as reference for what community level strategies and performance indicators are possible, as well as the family level module for performance indicators, services, and demographics. So most of you had the pleasure of receiving emails from us over the past 16 days or so, asking for you to think about the program year 2022 annual report that you submitted in the spring of this year that covered the calendar 2022 year, your data for the program. Our Federal Office of Community Services returned their review, so we had review items. There were a handful that did not have any review items, which is pretty rare. So want to congratulate you all again and thank you for the great data that you submitted. Those of you that had some review items, they were by and large pretty minor and stuff that was easily addressed. And so again, we appreciate the time and effort you put into it and the wonderful data, the strong quality data that you help us to support the program with. And this data goes through our federal office and then ultimately gets aggregated in different ways and goes to Congress. So a very important step in what we do regularly, and thank you all for your prioritization of it. And your program year 2022 data is now pretty much finalized. So not that you couldn't at any time, but do publicize what you've done with CSBG whenever possible. Just a real quick staff and board update specific to the CCA Board of Directors. We are recruiting interested CSBG eligible entity program managers, administrators. These are program staff or executives from CSBG eligible entities across the state. We love to have a statewide presence. So we're always looking to, especially, bring on rural folks that have that unique experience, or other, demographics or populations that have some key experiences that we want to make sure we incorporate into our board. So if you or anyone you know might be interested, we are specifically looking for Colorado CSBG eligible entity representatives at this point. We have a requirement that 30% of our board is made up of those folks, and we always like to really have a high number on our board, a good mix of private sector as well as what we might consider our CSBG sector. Reach out if you're interested in getting more information. Okay, a very exciting update. The CCA board strategic planning process is pretty much in the concluding stages at this point. We had our in-person retreat a couple of weeks ago. We had Kavi consultants reached out and obtained customer and stakeholder feedback and input that was incorporated into the process. And now we're about to circle back with all those folks with our research finds and the strategies and the priorities that we've identified as an organization to get further input. So those of you that were contacted by our consultants, be expecting some further requests for you to provide additional feedback on what we've come to based on a lot of your feedback and input and the research that we did as a board and as staff. So really excited to circle back with all of you, because I know a lot of you were involved in that. Thank you again for your involvement. This is all heading towards a strategic plan being presented at the November 2023 Board of Directors in just a few weeks, Friday, November 3rd at 11 a.m. All are welcome. Please let us know if you'd like to join and get you the link and the calendar invite. We're hoping that the strategic plan is by and large ready to be approved, but there may be some minor edits or changes that we need to do. So the actual approval might not take place until January, but all the same, it's about to be finalized, relatively speaking, because we all know that strategic plans are living documents that can change and should change over time. But would be finalized for now and really set the direction of the association for the next 2 to 10 years and beyond. So very exciting times. Special shout out to all the board members that have been assisting with that, several of which are on this call today. Okay, get somebody else talking. Stephen, would you be willing to give the network a quick update on the FCC Affordable Connectivity Program? See, I thought I saw him on here. Potentially not. Anyways, I guess I'll keep talking for a moment. We have launched our affordable connectivity program outreach that we got the grant for from the FCC. Stephen Panchenko with CCAA is spearheading this effort for us. You should have all received a correspondence from Stephen asking you to help us to engage your customers with the program and your communities with the program. And he's then taking that and kind of individualizing his events and his travel and his engagement, and really appreciate all of y'all that have gotten back to him. I know the vast majority of you have, and we really appreciate you supporting this program. A lot of outreach going on around this program, and it's a great way to help local households connect to broadband internet connectivity, and to have a little bit more breathable income in their monthly budget, as it does, provide that $30 subsidy per month. So something we want to connect folks to, and we are working on higher level policy, as is most of the nation, to get this program extended. So we're working on that as well. So please do reach out if you have any questions about that, and let us know if we can help you to help your local households connect to this program and resource. Jessica, would you like to jump on and talk about VITA?
Sure. Thank you, Josiah. We are kicking off our new IRS VITA grant. We received word that we were awarded a grant for the new tax year, so that's exciting. And we also received a little bit of an increase in funding, which is really great to hear, considering the growth and expansion that we are already planning and have in the works for this next coming tax year. The sites that we're going to be including for this coming year, in addition to our current sites, will be in Glenwood Springs, Parachute, Rifle, Fountain, and then there will be additional sites throughout Colorado Springs as well. And we are looking at potential pop-up locations across Colorado, possibly in person and maybe even a virtual component, to be able to really reach those pockets that we aren't physically in at this time. But there again, just want to throw that out there as well. Always recruiting for new VITA sites. If you're interested in having a VITA program in your area, or if you know a contact that might be interested in hosting a VITA site, please put them in contact with us. We're always looking for new places and ways to grow that program across the state. We did successfully close out our last IRS grant here at the end of September. And it was nice to have the ability, again, with those funds, to really set up the new sites and existing sites for success with the incoming tax year here in January. So we made sure everyone had all of the equipment and the supplies that they're going to need for a successful year. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we did receive an increase in our IRS grant for this coming year. So very excited about that. We will have our first ever VITA Symposium, which is a volunteer recruitment event that will happen down in Colorado Springs, with the large expansion happening down there and in the Fountain, Colorado Springs area. We'll have an event really specifically looking to recruit volunteers. That will be on Saturday, October 28th at United Way Family Center down in Colorado Springs. That is information in our website. And then after this call, you'll see that our CCAA newsletter is in your inbox. There's information about that symposium in our newsletter as well. So certainly anybody that might be interested in volunteering and learning about the volunteer roles as well as the different locations that are available, send them over to that symposium and they'll hear way more about VITA than they ever thought that they would, I'm sure. So excited for that kickoff event.
Great, thank you, Jessica. And I think I can say from experience that if you have some interest in VITA locally, reach out and we'll make it happen through Jessica and other staff's efforts. So thank you again. As we move through our agenda, one thing I also want to make note of, I think all of you that are direct program contacts received the email about the AI and community action webinar that we're hosting in early November. Please do share that with your local networks, and Jessica was key in getting that all arranged as well, so appreciate that. Other national conferences and trainings going on. We really want to support all of you all when appropriate, when available, to attend and engage with our regional and national networks. We have all of our conferences for the winter through the summer all arranged and identified with dates and locations. I think depending on what type of stakeholder or involvement you're talking about, there's a conference out there that would be applicable for you. And we have scholarship funds to support this, as well as I believe everybody's new contract will have training and technical assistance as an allowable category. So it's something that we have found over the years that when our network, when you folks at the eligible entities are involved regionally in Region 8, involved nationally with the National Community Action Partnership, with NASCASP, who is the state office's national membership organization, with NCAP, David Bradley, and our lobbyist out of DC, CAPLAR, our legal representation and experts out of Boston. It really helps our network to perform better and to really look at innovative approaches. And we've seen that in many ways over the years now. Special plug for the National Community Action Foundation 2024 Legislative Conference that is in person, Washington, D.C., March 12th through the 15th. I don't know if they did this on purpose. I think it makes sense, but that's the same week and general location as the NASCASP Winter Training Conference. We always attend the NCAF legislative conferences in person, and we try to schedule meetings with our senators and with our representatives in person and to update them on the program and talk about the successes and the impact of our program locally there with their constituents. So something that this is going to be, the second year since COVID that it was back in person in DC. We're looking to have a strong Colorado contingent. It's always really helpful if we have local folks at these congressional meetings. So if you're from a congressional district and would like to, and well, of course, you're all from a congressional district, but if you would like to attend and support us in helping to talk to Congress, again, we have some funding to support this travel to attend the conference. And then, of course, we will arrange and coordinate all of these meetings with our congressional representatives. I think a great way for us to ensure that they understand the impact that we have as a network and the things that we're doing, which really helps David Bradley and all of our federal office staff at OCS to really promote the program and continue to gather that bipartisan support from Congress. So big year. It's 60 years since community action was established in 1964 with Lyndon B. Johnson's War on Poverty. So a lot of that celebration about the impact we've had over these 60 years is going to take place across the network, really culminating in the National Community Action Partnership's annual convention in Seattle, August 26th through the 30th. So again, encourage you to think about, if you're able to attend this, we have funds to support your attendance, your stakeholders' attendance, tripartite board members' attendance, your key staff attendance. So let us know how we can help. We are continuously doing the Roma trainings, the introduction to Roma trainings that everybody in our network is required to understand and use and practice. The virtual trainings, we have one going on right now that we're in the middle of. And then the next one is still being scheduled for sometime January 2024. And then we're looking at another one March of 2024 as well. You can anticipate probably a May of 2024 date as well for virtual trainings. If you're interested in an in-person training, we are trying to schedule one in Denver. So specifically, anybody in the Metro Denver area would love to hear if you or any of your subrecipient partners are wanting to do an in-person Roma training. Love to schedule that, or anybody across the state that feels that an in-person one-day Roma training would be the better way for you all to, in your area, to take in what Roma is and what it means. Please reach out to us. Here are those scholarships we talk about. Any of those trainings, regional, national, or other capacity building activities, please do reach out to us. Let us know how we can assist. And as always, a plug for membership. If you're not a member now, would love to have your formal representation as a member in our association. We have really what we think are really low membership fees for those that are receiving CSBG, and then ultra affordable fees for anybody else, partner agencies that don't get CSBG, individuals, and then individuals with low income. So we love to have a lot of representation on our annual membership. So please become a member, if nothing else, as an individual or an individual with low income. That's all self-declared. Kind of just want people to be showing their involvement through membership. And I think that is all I have. Here's our contact information. Reach out at any time to any of us, and however we can support you all. And look forward to continuing to meet with all of y'all and talk about the future as we go through those program year 2024 activities over the next few months, as well as org standards. So with that, unless there's any questions, I will send it back over to you, Alex.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Josiah. As always, I just like to verbalize that we couldn't do any of this without you. So thank you for your fantastic work, as always. I'm grateful to be in Colorado, specifically because of the CCAA. So, all right, let's jump right into it. Okay, so for federal fiscal year 2022, those funds need to be fully obligated by this time as of September 30th, 2023. I think most agencies do not have to worry about that because they're obligated and spent and out the door. There are a handful of folks who do still have to submit their reimbursement requests for those funds. That's federal fiscal year 22. So yeah, if you have not yet done so, please note that reimbursements will not be processed after December 31st, 2023 for federal fiscal year 2022 funds. Again, this does not apply to most people because you've already spent those funds, but for the handful of entities that have not, that is a critical deadline. We have to close our books at the state, and so we have to really move on from an accounting perspective. So if you have any concerns about that, of course, let us know. Key staff changes. I wanted to remind everybody, as we have inevitable turnover in staffing, please do let us know. We have a whole process in place for removing people from our contacts and grants portal and adding them back on. So if your primary administrator changes, or your chief elected official, for example, if you're a public entity and your chief elected official is your board of county commissioners chair and that changes, please do let us know. It's especially important around contract time, but it's always something that's really helpful for us to be able to stay on top of. So as you have changes in your staff or chief elected official or other key personnel, please do let us know, and check the program implementation manual if you have any questions on who qualifies as a key staff person. We appreciate everyone's help in making sure that we are sending the right people information. Alrighty, 3-year application. Thank you everybody for the extensive work that you did on the 3-year application and community needs assessment, community action plan, the strategic plan process. I have completed the first review of all of those, so hopefully by now everybody has gotten some feedback either about little tweaks that had to be made or the fact that we'll be able to proceed with contracting. We should have a draft SOPs, SOWs, statement of works, out to you soon. So our hope is to take all of the information that you've given us and basically have like a draft contracting document, the portion that is changeable and not boilerplate for you to confirm. So that'll include everything from federal objectives to indirect rates to, key staff like chief elected official. And we just want everybody to do one last confirmation on that before we finalize the contracting process. So you should see that coming out here within the next couple of weeks. But of course, that will just be a draft because we have no award letter yet from OCS. So given that the political budget negotiations are still in process, if we can even say that at this point, we do not know when we will have our award letter. So the hope, fingers crossed, is that at some point all of those things will resolve themselves or get our award letters, and we'll have new 3-year contracts fully completed by December 31st, 2023. Of course, that cannot be guaranteed, and it's a hope and a prayer at this point, but that is the hope. As in prior years, I don't think there will be any difficulty for any entities who are existing eligible entities with existing contracts in place to be able to draw those funds down from the beginning of the federal fiscal year. So for example, if we're talking about federal fiscal year 24 funds, in theory, you should be able to draw those down as of the beginning of the federal fiscal year, so October 1st, 2024, if you're one of those agencies who's already spent through your money and that's a concern for you. Of course, if that's the case for you, please do reach out, let us know. We can certainly work with you to ensure that that will be the case and there are no snafus, but it should be a continuous sort of, continuous eligibility for those expenses as long as you have an existing contract in place. But there may potentially be a little bit of a gap between the new federal fiscal year. Well, there will be a gap between the new federal fiscal year beginning and us being able to get those 24 funds out the door. So fingers crossed that we have some clarity on all of that. As far as the 200% income eligibility level goes, again, that is unsure, right? At this point, we're operating on that continuing resolution through sometime in November. So that 200% is still in play at this point, but we don't know what it's going to look like going forward. And of course, as we find out, we will be sure to disseminate that information as quickly as possible. If you have any questions or anything like that, please do let us know. And just as a reminder, please make sure that your organization's income eligibility policies reflect what you would like to see happen, right? Worst case scenario, whether the 200% persists or whether it drops back down to 125. We've seen a lot of agencies put into place a 1-year eligibility policy that says from 1 year qualified as an example, then you are eligible for the program, regardless of what happens with that FPL. So if you'd like any training and technical assistance or support around how to implement those policies for your agency to ensure that you're able to serve the clientele that you'd like to serve, please do let us know. Organizational standards reporting. This is a heavy year. Let me just say that between the application and organizational standards and the annual report, there's a lot going on in this sort of quarter. So just acknowledging that out loud, and it's not always going to be like this if it feels like CSBG is a lot right now. Especially for the next 3-year cycle, we're tweaking the organizational standards reporting timing to ensure that there's a reasonable sort of flow allocation of work throughout the year. So just know it's on our radar. This is a lot of stuff, and thank you once again for everything that you do. So organizational standards reporting will be due in the THO system on November 15th, 2023, which is just under a month from now. So we have a webinar this Thursday, October 19th, which will cover primarily sort of the process, the nuts and bolts, and the software largely. We have some older software trainings, but we're hoping we can be a little bit more specific. And now that we've had some time to operate in the system, we can explain things really clearly for folks who are using it for the first time or who need a refresher. But we do, of course, have resources on the grantee resources page about the content of the organizational standards, which won't be covered in as much depth at that webinar on Thursday. So as you look at completing organizational standards or training new staff, if you do need content training for the org standard, please do take a look at those existing resources. And otherwise, if we're looking at more of the sort of process, timeline, and software aspect, then that training coming up on Thursday will be the one for you. Of course, we're going to record it and post it on our website. So if you have any questions, of course, let us know. And then just as a little future forecasting here, a little projecting out into the future, the annual report will be due on February 14th. So we're working on org standards now, that's great, but just remember as this year starts to wrap up, it is important to make sure that you have your mind on your data, right? How well you've been able to collect it throughout the year, any changes you may need to make to that sort of data collection and analyzation and reporting process, because that annual report deadline will be coming up here at the beginning of 2024. And we know if folks are consistently sort of thinking about that throughout the year, then it's much easier at the end of the year to come in and report all of that data. So just a heads up on that. We have word from the Fed that the ACSI scores should be coming out soon. Again, thank you to everyone who completed those surveys back earlier this year at this point, basically letting us know how we're doing at the state office and what we can do better, because we're always striving for continuous improvement in the spirit of Roma. So we don't, oftentimes we will have those scores by this call, but we don't this year. So just know that once we get those scores, we will be letting you know how we did from the perspective of, circling the sort of feedback circle as well as state accountability measures. That's how we are held accountable at the state office. And so we want to ensure that we share that information with you and that we analyze it and learn from it and continue to do better. So those results will hopefully be coming out soon, so you can keep your eyes peeled for an email about that going forward. And that's all that I have at this time. We have plenty going on right now, so lots of resources we're hoping to get out. And just as a note, we are, again, continuous improvement. So hopefully this org standards process is one that we can use as kind of a baseline for really trying to drive that accountability and performance, and really bringing the level of our program in the state up in a lot of ways. So we're going to be really focusing on training and the technical assistance to provide you all the tools that you need in order to continue doing great work and increase the level of work or the level of excellence. And so, as you have suggestions, questions, things that we can do better, 100% please let us know, because we know it's not easy by any means, especially CSBG. It's a lot. So as we can support you better, please don't hesitate to let us know. Okay, I don't see any questions in the chat. Did anybody, I can't actually see the chat. Let's see. Okay. Before we wrap up, let's just see here real quick. Great. Looks like everything is handled. Josiah, was there anything else you want to say about training and things?
No, as you noted, a lot going on, so feel free to reach out to us and let us know how we can support you, obviously.
Great. Awesome. All right, everybody, have 11 minutes back. Thank you for being here. And yeah, as you have questions and things and we can support, let us know. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.